We're going to be making some smoked pulled chicken for some sliders today. And I have about 4 pounds of bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs. And the first thing that I'm going to do after I take them out of the package is dry them off really well. And you know, sometimes a recipe will ask you to rinse the chicken, but it's really not a good idea to rinse chicken because you spread bacteria all over your sink, and there's really nothing that you can rinse off. You can't rinse off bacteria, so the only thing that you can do is properly cook it. So the best thing to do is just get it onto, right here I have a paper towel lined sheet tray, cooking tray, and I have a cooling rack on top, so any juices will drip to the bottom and will get caught by that paper towel. To add 1 tablespoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and that's going to draw out a lot of moisture. So you're going to put that all over the skin. And I'm going to wrap this up, and I'm going to let that sit in the fridge for at least 2 hours, but you could also do it overnight if you wanted to do this the night before. And then once that's set, I will add my rub and get started on the smoking process. So the chicken sat with the baking soda and the salt, and I just removed it from the tray and put it into a big bowl, and I did a dry rub on it. And there's a million different recipes for this. You can really kind of just tailor it to what you like. We do a 1/2 cup of just brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of kosher salt, because there's already some salt in there. So some other rubs have a little bit more of it. 1/2 tablespoon to a tablespoon of ground pepper, depending on how much, pepper you like. 2 tablespoons of chili powder, 2 tablespoons of smoked paprika or regular paprika, and just 1 teaspoon of ground mustard. Okay, and this is just going to sit for at least another 2 hours. Again, you could do this overnight as well. All right, while the chicken is marinating in that rub, I'm just going to put together a quick cabbage coleslaw for the sliders. So the first thing I want to start with is a 1/4 cup of grated carrot, and I'm just going to grate the carrot on the largest holes on the grater. And then I have a purple cabbage, and I want to thinly slice 2 cups of that cabbage, and I'm going to rinse it in a salad spinner. Okay. For the dressing for the coleslaw, I'm going to measure out a 1/4 cup of mayonnaise, 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, and freshly ground black pepper. Then you want to just take the cabbage and the carrots and mix it all together with the mayonnaise and vinegar mixture. And as you're mixing it up, if you feel like it's a little bit thin, you could definitely add more mayonnaise, a tablespoon at a time. And the last ingredient is just going to be a tablespoon of sugar. And this is going to draw out a lot of moisture in this. So that's why sometimes I like to do this and then maybe adjust with more mayonnaise later after it's been marinating. And you want to let this sit in the refrigerator for a couple hours because the dressing is going to flavor the vegetables. And you also want the dressing to kind of break down all the crunchiness that's in the cabbage. And the purple cabbage is really beautiful against the orange. And after this marinades, I will add some fresh parsley for some color and flavor as well. Okay, so after the chicken has been in the dry rub at least 2 hours or overnight, you're going to take your wood chips that you have soaked overnight. You want 2 cups of wood chips, and you're going to put them into the wood chip part of your smoker. And then we like to use the rest of the water that you've been soaking it in your water pan. We are going to set the smoker to 275, and we're going to put the thermometer into the chicken, and when it hits 155, then we're going to add some barbecue sauce, any kind of barbecue sauce you like to have on your chicken. And then we're going to let it keep going until it reaches 180. Okay, so we're waiting for that to reach 275. And then we have a meat thermometer inside the chicken. Right now it says it's at 95. We're going to set the temp for 155. Okay. So when we hit 155, we slathered on the barbecue sauce. And we have the meat thermometer, but I also like to check with the digital thermometer just to see where it's at. And right now, the goal, it's fully cooked. And yep, we're at 180. We're fully cooked, but we're really just trying to render as much of that fat as possible. Okay, so the chicken is out, and I let it cool a little bit. And you could leave the skin on or off depending on what you like, but this should come right off the bone and flake apart really quickly. When you're pulling it apart, try to get those fatty pieces that can sometimes be in between the muscles. And even, you know, if you're taking the skin off and it feels like, oh wow, that's where all the flavor is, the flavor definitely went through, and you're taking some of the flavor on the outside and it's getting all over it when you pull it apart anyway. So I finished pulling apart the chicken and I haven't added any more barbecue sauce to it. If you like that, you can go ahead. I know I like it with a little more of the barbecue sauce on it, but other people in my family like just the taste of the dry rub. The cabbage coleslaw has really wilted down, right? You can see it's not as crispy. And now I'm just gonna add some chopped parsley, which gives it that beautiful color. And then I'm just gonna put together my sandwich. My favorite sandwich buns for this is Martin's potato rolls, but you could also use King's Hawaiian rolls. Those are really good too. So if you wanted some of it to have more barbecue sauce and you wanted to leave some off to the side, I would say just split it. Make sure that the barbecue sauce is warm so that you're not cooling it off too much. And for me, you can't have this without the coleslaw. It's all about the mix of the cold, tangy, sweet mayonnaise and the barbecue sauce. Serve that with a pickle and some roasted corn. Delicious summer favorite.